It has been such a long time since I featured these little guys on the channel. These are late Roman bronzes. This is a bit of a blanket term given to all bronze and silver copper alloy coins issued during the late Roman Empire, so the 4th and the 5th centuries AD. They are extremely common, as they were issued in gigantic quantities, and lots of them have survived to our days. They're very affordable, even when in high grade, and as a result, a lot of collectors get these as their first ancient coins, either because they don't want to spend a whole lot at the beginning, or they're just working with a tighter budget. These are not, however, the absolute easiest coins to fully identify, so this video seeks to help you out on that. Check out this little thing here. Back in the ancient times of 2018, this was my very first ancient coin. It was very cheap, like 4 euros or something, and I was that kind of impulsive buyer who gets so excited about the perspective of owning something so old that I just bought it first, and only later did I stop to wonder if what I got was real or how on earth was I supposed to identify what was shown in this coin. I only knew there was this faint portrait of an emperor looking to the right, and there were some doodles on the reverse, and there were a whole lot of letters around the designs, which I couldn't make sense of. This is where an absolute godsend of an online tool comes into play. It is called Tesorillo, and it is an identification guide for late Roman bronzes. Don't get fooled by its outdated looks. This page looks like it came straight from the internet from the late 1990s. I love the way this guide was designed. It's specifically made for absolute beginners, and it only requires you to use your eyes to compare what you see on your coin against its vast collection of little drawings, little illustrations. In around 10 minutes, you can pretty much have all of the important information on your coin. Its issue date, its issuing emperor, mint, obverse and reverse designs and legends. It's very complete. So what I've done is, I have picked 6 coins from my collection. My very first coin and 5 others, in different states of conservation. All very affordable and humble coins everyone can reasonably collect. I'm showing too much gold and fancy stuff in the channel lately, but these coins are equally wonderful and they deserve the spotlight as well. I think the very best one I'm showing here today has cost me like 30 euros, and the others were like 15 or less. Here's how we're doing this then. I'll first do a quick introduction of Tesorillo. I'll show you where the identification tool is on the website, give you a brief explanation of the page, and a couple of things we need to read first, like a manual on how to use the guide. Then we're looking at one coin, going back to Tesorillo with a picture of that coin, we're using its tools to try to identify it, and then we're moving on to the next coin, which will be slightly harder to identify, until we're done with all 6 coins. No fancy numismatic jargon, we're as basic and as accessible as possible today, alright? Let's get started. Alright, we're in Tesorillo. So the first thing you're going to notice once you open the page is that, well, it's in Spanish, but don't worry. As you can see, we have a couple of British flags over here. It means these pages have been translated to English, and this is the one we want to click. This is the identification tool for late Roman bronzes. So we're going to click this one, and we're going to be greeted by this page. All right. So as you can see, we have a whole bunch of different options here to click. So let's start with these 3 at the top. So we have a prologue and an introduction, which are basically a small introduction of the project and how this database works and the period, the time period that is encompassed in this guide. So as you can see, it is from 313 to 498, so the 4th and the 5th centuries AD. And then we want to click on this one, abbreviations. We want to open this tab, and this one has a couple of important things we need to read before we get started. Okay, we then get to the abbreviations page. I recommend you spend some time reading this page because it is going to give us the tools that this database is going to use to really help us nail down the specific coin we're looking at. So basically what it is going to show us here is that it is going to attribute a coin based on its size. It's going to attribute it based on the legends, based on what's written on it, and it's going to attribute it based on symbols, particular symbols on the coin. There's going to be more to it, portraits and overall designs, but these three features over here are really going to help us nail down precisely a particular emperor, particular character, a particular time period. So let's quickly go over these three steps. So first, the size. So during the late Roman Empire, it was a time of hyperinflation. So there were a lot of monetary reforms. Coins were withdrawn, reissued with less silver in bigger or smaller sizes in different values. So to simplify all of that, numismatists catalog these late Roman coins in 4 size categories. So as you can see, A1, 2, 3, and 4. Each one of these is actually smaller. So you're going to literally measure your coin, the diameter, and you're going to see if it fits in these categories. Then we get to the legends. So the legends they're written around the coin, as you can see, and you're going to compare your coin with what is shown on this database. And as you can see, like, if you're brand new to ancient coins, like, this might sound like a whole bunch of loose letters, but of course these are abbreviations. The Romans like to put a lot of information on their coins, so they had to make abbreviations. That is why under these dark letters, you're going to find a brown inscription, which is the long form, the unabbreviated version of what you're reading on the coin. So this is also going to help us nail down what's on your coin and its correct attribution. And finally, we have the symbols. So apart from the legends, we have at the lower part, we have what is called an exerg. This is where the mint mark is going to be. So the letters showing a particular mint where this coin was produced. And as you can see over here, there were a lot of mints. And to the left and to the right of the design, in the area typically called the fields, we're going to have certain symbols. There might be symbols on your coin, there might not be symbols, but these help us nail down specific coins to specific issues. So you always should keep an eye out for these because they can help you nail down a coin to a certain attribution. Okay, we're back in the main page. So we want to keep the abbreviations tab open because we're going to go back to it for future reference. But now I want you to look down here at this section. So you have this whole bunch of different pages, but we want to focus on this one, mints. So what's going on here? Just maybe a little bit of context. During the High Empire, the early stages of the empire, there was a small number of imperial mints, and you had a whole bunch of provincial mints that issued coins under authorization of the empire in their different monetary standards. But during the late empire, these provincial mints were closed, and the emperor, the imperial institution, monopolized the production of coinage. So as you can see, throughout the late empire, there were a lot of imperial mints, 21 of them, and they unified the entire currency system of the empire and issued coins in a unified standard. So what happened is, since they were now issuing lots of coins in different areas, they identified their coins with mint marks. And we can use these mint marks to help us nail down specific mints. Because what happens is, sometimes by the obverse alone or the design on the reverse, you might not be able to nail down a coin to a specific mint. You might have a situation where, for example, you have a coin struck at Antioch, struck at Constantinople, and at Cyzicus. So the same issue, the same similar portraits, similar designs, and they were issued in these 3 mints. And the only way to nail down a specific coin to a specific mint is through the mint marks. So as you can see, we have like gold, silver, and bronze. We're going to be focusing on bronze coins. So Antioch had these mint marks, Constantinople had these mint marks. This way you can really nail down the specific mint where your coin was produced. So we also want to keep this mints tab open, but we're going to go back to that initial screen. Now the fun begins. We're actually going to start identifying coins. So we have this central area over here, which shows us 5 different ways that we can identify our coin. But there's an issue. I am assuming that we are absolute beginners and we have absolutely no idea how to identify a coin. We can just see the features and use our pattern recognition skills to see what's going on. So we can't identify a coin by ruler because we have no idea who these rulers are. We can't attribute certain reverses type to certain rulers because we don't know who these guys are. We don't know exactly what kinds of reverse legends are there. And of course, we don't know how to identify a coin by a certain mint. So the only option available to us is this one, types of reverses. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to be presented with this huge page full of different drawings. As you can see, like we have a whole bunch of different types. 1 victory, 2 victories, emperor, emperor kneeling. There's a lot here. And we're going to, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up our coin, we're going to look at its reverse, and we're going to begin its attribution based on what you see on the reverse. You just use your eyes. So as I mentioned in the introduction, I've picked 6 examples for us to look at. So we're going to start with the easiest example, and we're going to go down from that. Okay, let's get started. So we begin with a very easy coin. This coin is basically in mint state. You can even see a lot of its silvering, like this very thin silver layer that was put on top of it. It's still present on the coin, showing this coin had some sort of intrinsic silver content in it. So as we can see in the obverse, we have the bust of the emperor. We don't know who he is, but as we will see, this coin is very easy to identify. He has quite a chunky head. He's wearing a laurel crown on his head. We have full legends, fairly straightforward legends. These are not very long. As you can see, like they begin in this lower left part, then they stop next to the top of his head, then they continue around his forehead. And as you can see, it's relatively simple. As we go to the reverse, we have this tower. We have this something that looks like a tower. It looks like, yeah, some sort of building. You can see like it's made out of little bricks. It has a door in it. To the left and to the right, remember I mentioned there might be symbols. We have a couple of symbols here. To the left, we have something that looks like a little hook, a little object with some little tips. Oh, as you can see, like I'm going to give you a hint. As you can see, like the emperor was wearing a laurel crown, right? So this is a laurel wreath. And to the right, we have a letter A. It's either a letter A or a letter alpha. Okay, we also see that at the top of the tower, we have these 2 objects. We don't know what these are. We will see in a moment. And we have a star right at the center, at the top of the design. And we also have some fairly straightforward legends. They're all very easy to read because this coin is pretty much mint state. It's very easy to identify. And we have a mint mark at the bottom. If you're seeing me moving the coin around in the video, don't worry. Once we actually start identifying the coin, I'll pull up a picture so we have a static image and we're going to identify it based on it, okay? All right, here we are in the types of reverses page. We have our coin over here with the snipping tool so we can do some drawings with it. And just right out of the gate, we're gonna look at the reverse, okay? So, well, we can see that we have a camp gate. So this is what we have. It's a camp gate. So we're going to click on that, and we are greeted by the subtypes. And as you can see, we have a whole lot of different types of camp gates. This was a very common, a very popular type. And what we're going to do now is we're going to try to find the type of camp gate that matches what we have here the closest. So we have like these couple of objects at the top, and we have the star. Some of them have trees, some of them don't have the star. Some of them, some very rare types are made in perspective. So it looks like we have these ones over here. I think this one on the left is the one that matches the type that we're looking for. See, type 152, type 152. These two have different legends. So let's have a look at it. There we go. So we have different types. Providentia Augustoris. So I'll get to these legends in a moment. But we already start getting some information on the coin. See, we already have some explanation that it was struck between 324 and 329 AD. Okay, so how can we extract more information from that? Remember what I was looking at in the abbreviations tab? We're going to sort out the coin by size. So our coin is 19 millimeters wide. So it is an AE3. So if we go back to our reverse type, it is an AE3. Well, actually, this is the only type available, but sometimes you might have like AE3s, AE2s. Okay, so we have an AE2. So what else can we get? Next, we are actually going to get a list of all of the characters that issued this type of reverse. And as you can see, a lot of different characters, emperors, issued this coin. This was a very common type. So we have Constantine the Great, Constantinus Primus, we have Crispus, we have Constantine II, and we have Constantius II. So how can we nail down the exact emperor who issued these coins? We could look just at the bust types, but I mean, these busts look quite similar. So it's going to be complicated to identify these by bust alone. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the legends. So we're going to try to figure out what do we have on the legends that nails down a specific emperor. And in this case, it's fairly simple. I mean, we can see, so for example, we can see there's clearly a C over here. Let's get some drawings. C, an O, something that has two dots. This could be an N, S, okay, T-A-N, cool. The problem is most of these guys are constant something, right? We can already discard Crispus, but we don't know if that's Constantius II, Constantine II, Constantine. So just continue reading the legends. So we have T-I-N-U-S, and you're going to look at it. While you look at this, you compare it against the legends. And as you can see, we have Constantinus A.G. Okay, A-U-G. This is not Crispus. Oh, there it goes. Try to differentiate characters by reading the legends. So as you can see here, we have, right at the end, we have A-U-G, Augustus. Means this coin was struck under an emperor. Well, we know Constantine was emperor because we have AUG over here, Constantinus Augustus. We already discarded Crispus, but as we go to Constantine II and Constantius II, then we're going to notice there's a bit of a difference. These guys are Caesars. At the end of the legends, we have Nob, C, Nob, Caius. This is not compatible with our coins, right? So we know that this coin was struck under Constantine the Great. Cool. So we've already nailed down the emperor. Now, what is the next step? We need to nail down the mint. As we can see, these coins were struck in, they go usual types, they were struck at a lot of different mints. As you can see over here, for example, this particular type, Constantinus Augustus, it was struck at a whole bunch of different mints. So how can we nail down to a specific mint? Well, we're going to first try nailing down based on the symbols. Remember the symbols? So what did we have over here? We have something that looks like a little laurel wreath and either a letter A or a letter alpha. And, well, would you look at that? ALE. Which mint is that? Where did I leave it? Abbreviations. Sorry about that. ALE. Alexandria. So another piece of information. We now know our coin is from Constantine the Great. It's a Camp Gates type, and it was struck at Alexandria between 324 and 329. And if we want to be even more specific about this coin, we can actually go into the mints page. We can go, where is it? Alexandria. Oh, the very first one, Alexandria. When was this coin struck again? It was struck between 324 and 329. All right. Mints. Let's look for the time period. Okay. So as you can see, we have SMAL. AL stands for Alexandria, SM Sacra Moneta. Does it fit what it's in our coin? Yes, it does. SMAL. Awesome. So I think we have all of the information on our coin, don't we? We have a Camp Gate coin struck under Constantine the Great between 324 and 329 AD at the mint of Alexandria. There it goes. Our coin is fully identified. Let's get something harder. This one was too easy. Okay, our next coin is a little bit harder. This coin is much more in line with what you're gonna find there, like what you're gonna find in a pick bin or in some affordable section of late Roman coins. It is a coin that is still fully attributable, but it does have a little bit of wear. It has seen circulation. It does have some parts of its design that are a little bit either erased or they're not that easy to read. So as you can see in the obverse, we can see the bust of yet another emperor. He's looking to the left rather than to the right. You can still see all of the features of the coin, but it has seen a little bit of wear, so it's not that sharp anymore. As you can see in the legends, everything is still in there, but it is not that easy to read, but don't worry, it's still doable. It has a lot of eyes and small dashes, so these legends are going to be a little bit trickier to read, and you might find something like this in your coin. And as we go to the reverse is pretty much the same thing. We still have all of the design elements intact. We have a little bit of wear, but it's not too bad. All of the design elements are still there. The legends are also all in there. They're relatively easy to read. They have a little bit of visual pollution in them due to the wear, but still all visible, and the legends are the mint marks, they're also fully readable. So let's once again pull up the snipping tool and try to figure out what we have here. So once again, let's start with the reverse. Now, instead of the camp gate, like something clearly distinguishable, we have a human figure. And we're faced with a bit of an issue. As you can see, we have a lot of human figures on on coins. So how can we distinguish which one is it? Well, we need to, once again, use our eyes. I mean, you can clearly figure out there's a head over here, there's a body with a hand. He's holding something like a staff or a scepter, right? Try to figure out what is going on. We have the legs over here. We have something, it looks like a dwarf, like with its little beard, right next to him. This might help us attribute what's going on in there. So this big figure, this bearded figure, is holding a small figurine or something on its hand, and it has a little crown. It's holding a little crown. We have a symbol. This might help us out. We have a little S over here. So yeah, we have a standing figure with a staff holding a little something. Let's take a look at the types of reverses. Well, it's not a victory. It's not an emperor. It's not Mars. It looks like a genio, but it's not quite it. Oh, would you look at that? It's Jupiter. So what do we have here? We once again have a whole lot of different kinds of Jupiters, right? So once again, we need to look at the small details and try to figure out what we can get from this image. Fortunately, Jupiter's not alone here. He's holding this object, right? This little figurine or whatever. We don't know what it is. And we have this dwarf over here, right? And as we can see, this one doesn't quite match it. Neither does this one. Neither does this one. This one has like a Superman cape. Oh, check this out. We have like that little dwarf figure, and he's holding this figurine. So it might be this one. I mean, do we see any other types that might be similar? Doesn't look like it. It looks like it's this one. All right. Jovi Conservatori, and we have Augustorum and Caesarum. It is slightly earlier. It's from 317 to 320. Awesome. I've measured the coin. It is an AE3, like it says over here. And as we can see, we have different kinds of issues. Fortunately, it looks like this one was struck in a smaller number of mints, so we can already nail down the specific mint that issued this type. Because as we can see, we have the little, I mean, poor little guy. It's a captive. It's not a dwarf. So ANT, where is this coin from? ANT. It is from Antioch. Awesome. So we already have some information. It is from 317 to 320, and it was struck at Antioch. Now, who issued this coin? Licinius I, Constantine, Crispus, and Licinius II, right? So, once again, let's go to the legends. Now, the legends are not very easy to read over here. See, like, what is going on over here? Is this an O? Is this a D? So this is one of the situations where you're really going to be going back and forth. And as a little tip, look at the beginning and look at the end as well. Start by the beginning and the end. So as we can see over here, we're going to start at the beginning and the end. So we can see we have imp and aug from Augustus, and imp stands for imperator. So if we compare Licinius I with what we have over here, I don't think there's an imp over here. No? Neither does an Augustus over here. Don't you think? I don't think that's it. So it's not Licinius I. Constantine had the same kind of titles, Imperator and Augustus. It's not Constantine either. We can also discard, oh no, we can't discard him by mint because he also issued coins at Antioch. Is it Crispus? I don't think so. I mean, if we look at the last part of the title, Nob Caes, Nov Cs, No Cas, we can see that it's more in line with what we have over here, but it's not quite. And of course, it doesn't look like the initial parts of the legend match what we have here. We don't have Flavius. We don't have this Flavius, although we do have DN, I think, Dominus Noster. See? I think this looks like a D and, see? I think this looks like a D and an N, right? So it could be Crispus, or it could be Licinius II. What are we going to do over here? Crispus also issued coins at Antioch, so we can't rule him out by the mints. Now, the bust, it looks a little bit more like Licinius II, but we can't rely solely on the information here on the busts. So we really need to actually start reading the rest of the legends. I'm going to cut your work short. As you can see, Crispus, Nob, Caes. I don't think there are any like Crispus over here. No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like we have an L over here, an I, a C, an I. I don't know what this is. This could be 2 I's. Could be an N. What is this? This could be an L. Oh, okay. I think we nailed it down. It is Licinius II. It's definitely not Constantine II. You can see even by the busts and everything, so it's not that. So, okay, we have, it looks like it is Licinius II. Oh, I just realized this page was in Spanish. Sorry about that. There it goes. Licinius II. We can confirm with the fields. Remember we had the symbol, this S over here. So let's have a look at it. Okay, it just nails down to the mints of Antioch, Nicomedia, and Cyzicus. So I think we already have our coin. So we can see Licinius II. We have versions of it struck as Augustus or struck as Caesar. I think it's this one, 317 to 320. Struck at Alexandria, Licinius II, as Caesar, not as emperor. And if we look at the mints, it was struck at Antioch, right? What do we have here? We have S, M, A, N, T. And Antioch, S, M, A, N, T. Awesome. I think we have our coin. Licinius II, Antioch mint. Struck as a Caesar. There it goes. It wasn't too hard, right? It was a little bit harder than the previous coin, but it wasn't too bad. So let's keep going. Let's keep going to a coin that is a little bit harder. So our next coin is a significant step up in difficulty. We still have a lot of the visual features of the coin clearly recognizable. I mean, the obverse, for example, that we're looking now, it's still fairly easy to recognize. We see the bust of this character. It's either an emperor or not. We can still see his face, his clothes. We can see a little letter next to his bust to the left. However, we're starting to see some visual pollution due to wear and tear on this coin. As you can see, the shape of the flan is irregular. It has a very thick patina, which makes visualizing the details on the coins a little bit more difficult. And as we will see in the pictures, we now have certain parts of the legend either out of the flan or worn down completely. So we're starting to get into a point where we can't trust on the complete legends of the coin to identify it, although in this case we still have enough information to fully identify it. And heading to the reverse is actually, in my opinion, in better shape than the reverse. We have a lot of things on the main image. We still have a little bit of the of the mint mark at the lower part still visible, although some of it is out of the flange, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for us to identify. And the same goes for the legends. On the left side, the legends are still pretty much intact, although they're not that easy to read. But to the right, we have a lot of it which was left out of the flange, so it's going to be a little bit more complicated. So let's head to Tesorillo and see if it can help us. So let's put up an image of our coin. And once again, let's go to the reverse. So we have the emperor, he's standing up. We have a symbol, actually like a number 3 over here on the left side. This might help us later. And you can see he's holding 2 flags or something like this, right? So let's see if we can find something on the list of designs that we can identify. And actually here you're going to see a situation where what you have on your coin, this is a slightly rarer type, where you might not have a direct equivalence to what you have on your coin. So in this case, we're going to have to not only look at the icons themselves, the drawings, but we're also going to have to read what's in there. So in this case, we can see that Emperor with standard, or standards with an S, is probably the more fitting description. So as you can see in this image, we have a standing emperor. He has on the right so it's that flag that we saw. It's actually a standard. Although in this case, on his other hand, he's holding like this figurine once again. But in our version, he has a second standard. Let's see if it's compatible with what we have. And as we get here to the subtypes, fortunately, it looks like we have a type where the emperor is seen holding 2 standards. And it looks like it is very similar to what we have. We can, just to confirm, we can look at what's written. So we have Concordia Militum. So we're going to have to read. Unfortunately, it looks like we have a C, an O, an N, maybe another C, another O. So I think we're on the right track. I think it is indeed a Concordia Militum. Next, let's check the size. This is a larger coin. This is definitely an AE2, so it's larger than the coins we've seen previously. So that's good. I think we're getting there. As we can see, this is a later coin, struck between 350 and 351, so a very narrow time gap, and it was struck under Constantius II, Vetranio, and Constantius Gallus. Okay, who issued these coins? So as we can see, we have some mints, we have Siscia, Sirmium, Thessalonica, and it's the same for all of the emperors. Okay, so let's try to figure out who it is. So I think we need to do a combination of legends and portrait over here. Remember, we wanted to look at the beginning and the end of the legends, right? But sadly, in this case, we have this part. We can't really see what's going on here and over here. Although I think we can see a C over here. We have a lot of visual pollution at this side. We have a lot of wear. We have a thick patina, so we can't really figure out. So we might have to look at this area at the top. Fortunately, I think we have a T. We have an A. Is this maybe an N? Maybe another T. So I think we can rule out Vetranio. DN Vetranio Pius Felix Augustus. I don't think that's Vetranio. So this leaves us with Constantius II and Constantius Gallus. And this is one of the interesting situations where the bust actually helps us identify the coin. So typically, the emperor is, as we've seen in the previous examples, the emperor wears some sort of laurel wreath, like either a laurel wreath or a diadem, and Caesars were often shown with a bear head, like we have over here. And it turns out this coin was struck when Constantius II was already an emperor. This is after Constantine the Great died and his sons took over. So if Constantius II only issued this type of coin as an emperor, it only leaves us with Constantius Gallus, which is fairly consistent with what we have on the bust over here, doesn't it? So we once again read it, Dominus Noster, Constantius Junior Nobilicimus Caesar. And, okay, we can't read the Dominus Noster, but I think we can read Constantius. Probably there's a Junior here. Then we have Nobilicimus and the C, the Caesar. Okay, I think we nailed it down. Other than that, okay, so we already know 350-351 Concordia Militum struck under Constantius Gallus as a Caesar. Now we need to figure out the mint, right? So let's check out the fields. So remember we have that 3 over here. If we look at the symbols, this nails down to 2 mints, Siscia and Sirmium. If we look over here, Siscia, Sirmium, Thessalonica. Okay, we have discarded Thessalonica, but we have the issue of 2 mints that issued the same type. So how can we nail down if it's either Siscia or Sirmium? Let's go to the mints. Let's go to the letter S. We have Sirmium and we have Siscia, right? So we have bronzes. Sirmium is Sirm, it's a pretty straightforward mint mark. Siscia is a little bit more complex. It's similar, but it's typically some variation of Sis, S-I-S. So it's either XXI, Sacra Moneta, or Sacra Secunda Siscia. So we have a combination, right? I think we don't have enough space here for S, I, R, and M, right? So although this is a bit of a dubious attribution, we can't like be 100% firm with our attribution, I think we have a situation where we have some sort of symbol over here, like maybe prima, maybe secunda, maybe sacra moneta, but we have cis. I think this is the beginning of another S. So I think we can fairly confidently nail down this coin to the mint of Siscia. So that's what we have, Constantius Gallus from the mint of Siscia. All right, let's get something even harder. Now we're getting into some challenging coins. So check out this tiny little thing. I picked up this coin in a little junk tray, although this coin is actually reasonably good. But as we will see, it has its challenges. As we can see in the obverse, we have this quite charming, tiny little bust of the emperor. It's still, everything is still there, but this coin has seen better days. It has a lot of little damaged parts at the edge. So we have, once again, we have part of the legend is illegible. So it has been cut from the wear and from little parts of the edge of the coin being broken down. Although this coin is still fully attributable, the obverse has seen better days. And on the reverse, it gets worse. This coin was struck probably with a worn die. Not only that, it has a little bit of wear. So the legends are quite complicated. We have at the left part, we have something that we can read, but other than that, the rest of the legends are kinda illegible. We can't really see any, like someone who's not used to the type couldn't really make out the letters at these parts. We have a pretty complete mint mark at the bottom, which should help us out attribute this coin. And we see at the center, well, a couple of soldiers, a couple of characters with a little helmet and a little shield and a little spear. and both of them are between another standard, just like we saw on the previous coin. And we have a little symbol at the center of the flag of this standard, which fortunately for us is going to help us a lot in attributing this type. So let's head to Tesorillo and see if we can figure out what we have. Okay, here we are once again in Tesorillo. So let's pull up a picture of our coin and let's try to figure out what we have. So we have, as I mentioned previously, we have a couple of soldiers and the standard. Unfortunately, it looks like it is this type, 2 soldiers. Although in this type, it looks like it has 2 standards. So let's see what we have. Okay, it looks like we have a type with 2 standards and a type with 1 standard. They both have the same reverse legends, Gloria Exercitus. So let's click this one. Okay, Gloria Exercitus. It is an AE4. It's compatible with what we saw. It's a tiny coin. Was struck between 336 and 342, so a relatively broad date range. And here's the problem with this type of coin. It was struck in enormous numbers at a lot of mints, and it has a ton of varieties. Not only that, it was struck under a whole bunch of different emperors. So this is going to be a little bit challenging because there's a lot of varieties. And as we can see, mints, it was struck pretty much everywhere in the empire. So how can we sort out what kind of coin do we have? Well, this is going to be a little bit challenging. So this one, I actually think I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the coins. And now it's a matter of really looking at what you have and trying to find the consistent type, like a similar type with what you have. As you can see, some of them in the standards, we have like letters G, M, X's, I, crescents, stars. Fortunately for us, our particular coin has a symbol. So we can see we have something like an X and a P. Well, this is not an X and a P. This is a chi and a rho. It's an early Christian symbol. It's what Constantine saw on the sky before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. And it helps us nail down to certain types, certain varieties which have the chi rho. So it looks like this coin was struck at Luctunum and at Arl and Aqu and Cis. Cis is Cisquia. What does Arl and Aqu stand for? Let's go to the abbreviations. Arl stands for Arelate and Aqu for Aquileia. Arelate is at the southern coast of modern-day France, and Aquileia is in northern Italy. Okay, so it greatly helped us nail down some of the mints, but now we need to figure out, well, who issued this coin, right? So who issued this coin? Fortunately, it looks like the legends are relatively intact, fortunately, at least the initial parts, which, as I said, we want to start looking at when we try to identify. So we can see there's a C, an O, maybe an N, and see over here we have something that probably is an N, a C. I've butchered that N, so it's an N. And over here, what is going on? Is it an IUN? Is it a junior? So I think we have a con. So we have a Constantine, one of the many Constantines, which doesn't help us a whole lot because it's Constantine the first, Constantine is the second, Constanti is the second. So we can discard Delmatius from that initial attribution, but that doesn't help us a whole lot. So let's go to the end. So I think we see NC. So it looks like this was not struck under an emperor. So we can discard Constantine the Great. Okay, so that leaves us with everyone who issued this coin as a Caesar, which probably was, which sadly was all of the other remaining characters. As we can see, Constantine II issued these coins as an Augustus and as a Caesar. So did Constantius II, Nobilicimus. There are some legends where Nobilicimus Caesar, and some of them are as Pius Felix Augustus. And did Constans issue these as an Augustus? He also issued it as Augustus. So, okay, this is going to be problematic because it looks like all of the three emperors issued this coin as both titles. So we need to keep reading. So over here, I mean, we have ST. We can't really make out what's written here. And can we make out what's over here? Maybe an N, a U, and an S. So even if we don't see what's going on in here, if we have a U between the N and the S, I think we can relatively, with some certainty, discard Constans. So this leaves us with Constantine II and Constantius II. Well, no, this actually solves our mystery because it could either be Constans, it could either be Constantius, or it could either be Constantinus, right? Constans, Constantius, Constantine. So if we have that, even if we don't have parts of the legends, as we can see in this part, even if we can't read that, we can nail this down to Constantine II. Awesome. So we have Constantine II struck at either Lugdunum, Arelate, or Aquileia as a Caesar. So Constantine II as a Caesar. Now, that's good, but that's not enough. Do we have some symbols that might help us out? No, we do not. We do not have symbols in the fields for this one. We have the Chi-Rho, and that's it. So how can we figure out and see everyone struck these coins at every single mint? How can we figure out the mint? Well, we are going to read the mint mark. So we have something that it's either a T or a P, we don't know. We have a C, an O, an N, and we have a couple of letters over here which we don't know exactly what it is. These could be S's, but we aren't exactly sure. Okay, let's go to the mints. And we're going to look at the mints of, once again, what were these? Lugdunum, Aquileia, and Arelate. Okay. Lugdunum. Where's Lugdunum? There it goes. Lugdunum. It's like some variation of LG, LE, VG. Okay, I don't think that's Lugdunum. Let's go to Aquileia. Aquileia is A and Q, or Sacra Moneta. It's some variation of Aquileia. So it's Sacra Moneta, Pecunia, Aquileia. Okay, I don't think it's Aquileia, which leaves us with Arelate. Where's Arelate? Now here's a little trick, a little thing that confused me when I first got my coins. Arelate, for a brief period, had its name changed to Constantina. Very weird, right? So you have mint marks which are related to Arelate, so A-R-L, but you also have mint marks with Constantina, so const, which is remarkably similar to what you have in Constantinople, right? So a lot of people mix these up, thinking they have a coin of Constantinople when they actually have a coin from Arelate. And I think this is what we have over here. We have a P of Pecunia, or Prima, or the first workshop, and then we have cons. So this coin, since this can't be a coin from Constantinople, because Constantinople did not issue coins with the Chi-Rho, it is a coin from Arelate. So we have a coin of Constantine II, issued when he was a Caesar, a Gloria Exercitus, although we can't read most of this, we can guess from the type, two soldiers with one standard, with a Cairo, issued at the mint of Arelate. So as you can see, much harder to identify, but it's not impossible. So let's go to the last coin of the day. And for the last coin of the day, we're going to identify my first coin. And as you can see, compared to the other ones, this one is in terrible shape. So we have on the obverse, we have the face of the emperor. It is very worn. The facial features and the hair and the diadem, it's all still visible, but as you can see, like this patina, this sandy patina, it doesn't really help. It has a lot of wear, which has eroded some of the eyes and the mouth and the nose. The legends are relatively readable, but they do have their issues. They're not that easy to read. And the reverse is a bit of the same. We have some earthen deposits which obscure this image. What is going on here on the reverse? We really don't know what it is. It's kind of hard to identify. The mint mark at the bottom, fortunately, is a little bit easier to read. And the legends, well, we can read some of it, but some of it is obscured as well. So let's head to Tesorillo and try to figure out what we have. Okay, here's a picture of the coin. What do we have here on this reverse? This is kind of weird, right? We have something over here. We have what I think it's a face, a hair over here. We have something over here. We really need to look at this is one of the types that we really need to look at the database and see if we have a matching image. We have something here that looks like a horse, like a little head of a horse, you know? Fortunately, if we look at the types, victory, two victories, we have other soldiers, which has a remarkably similar design to what we had there. So let's click this one. It gives us some different types. So we have this doesn't look like it, neither this one. I think these are the ones that we have. Fortunately, we have this one over here at the bottom, which shows what we have. So could it be these ones? Are these two type 24s? Yes, let's have a look. Felix Temporum Reparatio. I have shown this coin previously in my channel. So it was struck in 348 to 358. And what do we have here? So we have, now here's an interesting thing. We have AE2s and AE3s. For my type, it is an AE3. It's a smaller type. So what's going on over here? Does it show in the description? It's a Roman soldier spearing a fallen horseman, which, now that you say it, I think it actually does make sense, right? We have the emperor over here. Is leaping on the air like Superman. This might be a spear or something. And this is the little horseman begging for his life as he and his horse fall down. It's okay. I think we've made some sense out of the doodles. Oh, and check this out. We have a little ladder as well. We have a D over here, which should help us out maybe identifying the coin. And we see that it's Fel Temp Reparatio, as we saw on the beginning. So that's cool. This helps us out. Now, where were these coins issued? They were issued absolutely everywhere. Okay, so it's going to be hard to figure out the mint. Who issued this coin? It was issued under Constantius II, Constans, Magnentius, Constantius Gallus, and Julian. That's tough. Lots of different people. So I think we're going to need to read the coin. So we have DN. Once again, let's look at the beginning. and the end. So this part is a little bit obscured by these earthen deposits, so I can't really figure out what's going on over here. And over here, I think we have a DN. So who has Dominus Noster, DN, at the beginning of the obverse? We have Constantius II. He has Dominus Noster. Does Constans have it? So does Constans, DN, Dominus Noster. So does Magnentius. So does Constantius Gallus. So does Julian. That sucks. Okay. Let's keep going. So we have CONS. Oh, I wish we had this last part that we could rely on. So we have Constan. This part is harder to read. So we have Constan. Well, that helps us. We can discard Magnentius. We can discard Julian. Now, Constantius Gallus. Remember in the other coins, he did not wear any laurel crowns or laurel wreaths or anything. I think it's a similar case over here. See, this guy is wearing a diadem. He's wearing a diadem. So it's either Constans or Constantius II. And if we figure out who issued these, fortunately we have more in the legends over here. I think we found it. We have Constantius. It looks like there's an I over here, so this cannot be Constans. And here's another interesting bit. See, Constans only issued AE Choose, while Constantius II issued AE Choose and AE Threes. See, it's important to see the size of your coin. So we can confidently nail down this was struck under Constantius II. All right, so that's good. We had a lot of different contenders and we saw who issued this coin. Now we need to figure out the mint. Once again, let's go to the symbols. And we have a metric ton of symbols. So we had a D. And what do we have over here? Do we have anything with like a D that we can rely on? Now this is complicated. I wouldn't trust using these as a reference because sadly these are quite hard. You see? What's going on over here? This is actually, there's no D's over here. There are B's. There are fallen soldiers and all of that. Oh, I was looking at the AE2s. Excuse me on that. It's AE3s. See? I make mistakes as well. There it goes. There's a D. ARL. Arelate. Could it be a delta though? Could this be a very poorly made delta? Or an I or something? Or an Aquilea? I think we should check the mint mark. So we know it's Constantius II, 353 and 354, but we really need to look at the mint mark. Once again, the mint marks are really important. And it looks like it is once again SEO, and I think this is another coin from Arelate, because if our question was if it's either Thessalonica or Arelate, but if we look at Thessalonica, where is Thessalonica? Thessalonica minted Tess, variations of Tess, T-E-S, which is not what we have here. We have S-Con, and S-Con is, as we saw previously, a variation of Constantina. So, okay, we got our coin. It's ugly, it's full of deposits, it's not very easy to read and to make out what's in there, but we can fully attribute this coin to an AE3 of Constantius II from the mint of Arelate. Awesome. So while recording this video, I realized I was only showing coins from the Constantinian period, which is a period that produced relatively high quality coins. The craftsmanship of the coins is relatively good, so I've decided to switch things up a bit for the last coin. Let me show you something completely different. And as you can see, this tiny little coin, it's barely recognizable as a coin. It's like a tiny little round lump of bronze. So what's going on here? So here, this is the obverse, although it doesn't look like it. So we can faintly distinguish the portrait of an emperor. Once we have the picture up, we're going to be able to see it a little bit better. We can barely see any letters. I think I can see an O or a D, I don't know. And on the reverse, the reverse is lovely. There's this, it's almost like a child made like a doodle of a standing figure. So you can see like there's this standing figure with like the two bulging eyes. There's this little body, and there's something that looks like a scepter crossing the figure. And to the right, we have something that looks like a letter E. So what's going on here? Let's try to identify this coin. So once again, we're back at Tesorillo, and we're going to try to figure out what we're looking at. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out the reverse. Let's try to draw something that we have here. So we have these two big bulging eyes. We have a face. It really looks like the engraver was like a little kid. You can see that the empire must not have been in a good situation by putting these little figures on a coin. So as you can see, we have this image over here. We have a scepter or something crossing. It looks like there's like an arm coming out to this side, and we have this letter E. So let's see if we can find something that looks similar to this in the list of figures. So it looks like a veiled, like either a veiled or maybe like a more female deity, because it has like this veil over its head. This is typically a female attribute. So maybe it could be a deified emperor, it could be an empress. Are there any female entities? Like the victories typically don't show up veiled. So other deities maybe? Let's check this out. Let's see if we can find types of reverses. Deified emperor. I don't think there's any type of design that looks like it. This is Venerando Memoria. This is a type issued for Constantine, so that's not it. Okay. Then we have these ones. What are these? Other deities. So we have Pax, we have Hercules, we have Securitas. Maybe is it Securitas or Pax? A3, no, that's too big for our coin. Our coin is definitely an AE4. So what about Securitas? No, it's neither Pax nor Securitas. Securitas is from Helena. It's too big. It's not an AE3. So how about other deities? No, how about empresses? And check this out. I think this is the figure that we had. See? We put it side by side. There's like a stick figure with a little cover. There's this staff crossing the body, and it's out of the flan, but she's holding like a globe cruciger or something. That's interesting. Let's have a look at it. And I think that is a hit. So there's this type BE. That's a very unusual type. As you can see, it is much, much later than the previous coins we've seen. 457 to 474. This is right around the time when the Western Roman Empire fell. So these were very desperate times for the Roman Empire. As you can see, they were producing these crappy coins. As you can see, it is an AE4. It features that stick figure is supposed to be the Empress, standing facing, holding a cross, and a cross with a globe and a transverse scepter. So we were right, that was a scepter indeed. and it was struck by Leo I in 3 mints: Constantinople, Cyzicus, and Nicomedia. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of different legends, and I think it's this one, Dominus Noster Leo, basically, because, well, there's no space to put anything else, right? This must be the E, and there must have been somewhere around here the N and the L, they were left off the flan, and here we have the bust of the emperor. Now I wonder if DN, there's a version where it goes DN Leo Perpetuus Augustus. I would love to see how they managed to squeeze that many letters in such a tiny coin. And these were struck between 457 and 474 in Constantinople, Cyzicus, and Nicomedia. Now here's an issue. With these very late Roman coins, as you saw, like the previous examples, they were really easy to identify. The mints were all clearly laid out. Over here, the empire was breaking down. The coins were not produced up to standard, and the mint mark, which was supposed to be over here, maybe the die had the mint mark in it, but if that was the case, it was left off the flan. The coin was too small to receive the exerg with the mint mark. So this is one of the situations where it will happen with some of your coins where we simply cannot identify the particular mint that produced this coin. We only know that it is little AE4 from Leo I, and that's as close as we're gonna get. So there we have it. I love using Tesorillo to identify these late Roman coins, and as you can see, even as an absolute beginner, it provides enough visual references for us to successfully identify even very late, low-quality coins from the time of the collapse of the West, or those worn coins you can find on a junk tray at any coin show. Now, you get out there and try identifying your own coins, and I want you to share in the comment section below if you manage to identify any coins on your own. Alright, happy collecting, and I'll see you soon.